breaking news now out of Baltimore, where a bridge has collapsed after it was hit by a cargo ship. Rescue crews say multiple vehicles crashed into the water.
That video is just incredible. The incident is now under investigation and rescue efforts are underway. Cara Finstrom joins us now with the latest. A press conference just going on right now, it looks like, Cara.
Yeah, and we know that the immediate focus remains finding those survivors. Behind us here, you can see the ship there and actually what is left there of the bridge just intertwined there. So far, 2 people have been pulled from the frigid waters, one of them in critical condition, the other expected to be okay. Rescuers think at least 7 more people may be in this river and facing the threat of hypothermia. Take a look. This is an animation from Google Earth, and it gives you a good look at the area right around the river and what the Francis Scott Key Bridge was like when it was fully intact. This is a major traffic artery, also vital to the port there. And take a look. Video captured the surreal impact right around 1:30 this morning, Baltimore time. The ship rams the bridge, which snaps and collapses. First responders think several vehicles are crossing and sank in the waters, which are about 50 feet deep. They say sonar has confirmed cars are submerged, and it's believed workers doing concrete deck repairs on that bridge fell into the river, too. The container ship Dolly caught fire after impact, but CBS News has learned its crew is all accounted for and okay. A Baltimore city official says rescuers are facing numerous challenges.
The conditions are difficult, right? We're talking about a deep channel port. It's 40, 50 feet of water, strong currents. The weather is windy, the water is cold, and so we certainly worry about those who are in the water, not to mention the fall from the bridge. For folks who we know that there were individuals working on the bridge.
And no official word as to why this happened, but senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve, he reports the ship appears to have had a full blackout for over a minute before striking the bridge, followed by a second shorter loss of power. Homeland Security says there is no evidence at this point suggesting nefarious intent. They are investigating. The bridge services both car traffic and the port, and that, of course, raises major issues about transportation. Now, folks who live nearby, they were rattled by the impact.
We were awakened with what appeared to be an earthquake and a long rolling sound of thunder. Wow. So we woke up and literally we can look right out of our bedroom window and see the Key Bridge.
And as rescuers continue searching, a facility has been set up for supporting those families who are all now waiting for word about missing loved ones. And we can also tell you that the NTSB is on the way to help with the investigation.
All right, Cara, thank you. There's so much information coming in just now. We know that the press conference is happening as well. We want to get to discussing more about the search and rescue efforts this morning. And we have retired Navy Captain Armen Kurdian. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it. We know that the water temperature near the Baltimore Bridge could be very dangerous for people still in the water. I think I read it's just around 45 degrees or so. Can you talk about the conditions and the rescue efforts that are potentially going on for as many as 7 people?
Morning, ladies. Well, that cold water is very severe. Having been a naval aviator for several years, we wouldn't go flying over water that was below the temperature of 60 degrees without a dry suit, which has been advertised to give you about an extra hour's worth of exposure survival in the water. So being under the water with those kinds of temperatures below 50 degrees can have severe impacts. I mean, it's a shock to the system. You could go unconscious. And after a long period of time, frankly, it's not even a question of the water temperature anymore. It's a question of oxygen. You have enough oxygen to actually to breathe. You got an air bubble. Hopefully you weren't submersing your car, but it's very bleak for anybody who may still be under the water.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to see these images, not only of it happening, but then the aftermath as well. And we know sonar detection devices found some vehicles under the water. How do rescue efforts change as the day goes on? It's been hours now.
Well, you're going to build a map of what's on the floor of the river right now on the bed. So once you isolate and detect each one of those vehicles, you'll try to go and get into them. But think about it. At that time of the day, I mean, now it's daytime, but even at daytime, 50 feet under the water, a lot of light doesn't penetrate. At 2:30 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, it's cold, it's dark, there's a current, and above all else, with the impact, there's probably going to be a lot of silt and a lot of effluence in the water so that you wouldn't even be able to see your hand in front of your face. So the only way that you'd be able to see anything would be via sonar. And for a diver, it would be extremely dangerous getting into that water. But I guarantee you, those search and rescue experts, those divers who are in the water, are not thinking about themselves. They're thinking about saving lives.
Yeah, we know that rescuing people, of course, is the top priority right now. You had people in their cars driving. You had people working on the bridge itself. We're not sure, how. It looks like 7 people, but not sure exactly where those people are coming from. Divers also really at risk now with debris hanging from this bridge, right? I mean, we know the NTSB is on its way, but we're still in the very early stages of this rescue and recovery effort.
Absolutely, it's a very hazardous situation. As you could tell from that video, as the ship was approaching that bridge with that blackout, you all of a sudden a massive amount of black smoke come out the top of the vessel, which to me tells me that they were throwing their engines into maximum reverse to try to stop that impact from actually happening. Unfortunately, it was too late. For those divers who are in the water, they can only be in that water for a certain amount of time for their own protection. But with technology advancements, it's entirely possible they may have had personal inertial devices which would allow them to know exactly where they were on the bed of the river to perhaps within a couple of feet. So if you can localize where the vehicles are with sonar and get a position on them, the divers may have their own navigation system to be able to basically take them right to where that vehicle actually is. And with a lot of other equipment, bright lights, perhaps their own individual sonar and underwater communications, but you'll need a lot of divers because obviously you won't be able to stay in the water for an extended period of time at that temperature.
Yeah, and when we talk about these conditions, how long before the search and rescue effort becomes a recovery effort?
Honestly, at this point, I don't know how you could have enough oxygen underneath the water, even if you weren't stay necessarily, if you were protected from the elements of the water and the temperature, it's entirely possible. But I don't see how you could have enough oxygen at this point to survive underneath there. I think miracles do happen, and I think if you did a Google search for miracle rescues, you'll find history is littered with them, and perhaps with some prayer, we may be able to find somebody alive. But the chances, I believe, of finding someone alive at this point are extremely remote, sadly.
Very tragic. Well, thank you for joining us, retired Navy Captain Armen Kurdian. We really appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.